Inland Sports.
And in their first year of Division I action, CBU women's basketball went 18-12 overall, 11-5 in the WAC, second place. Coach Jarrod Olson won Coach of the Year. Brittany Thomas was Newcomer of the Year. About 4 months prior to the 2019 opener, we sit down with Coach Olson and kind of take a quick look inside the schedule on a Monday afternoon. Coach, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
First, have you been enjoying the off season, or are you kind of is it like what off season?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, May and June, we had our players on campus. We're doing a lot of workouts. They also had a chance to work camp. And then July is a big month for recruiting, so hit the road a lot for that. But in between, there's some blocks of time where I can spend some time with my family, which I really appreciate and I'm happy to do. We have a great time doing some fun things. So, yeah, a little bit of both.
All right, we'll go ahead and jump in. As I took a quick look at the schedule last week when it was released, I thought you guys did a pretty good job. You kept the Big West matchups intact, threw in some new wrinkles to the schedule. The first thing I want to address is how important is it for you guys to be majority home this year? I believe it's 17 out of the 31.
Yeah, I think some of that's just random. Last year's schedule, we were trying to throw it together pretty quickly. It's a big change going from Division II to Division I. I mean, you're playing a completely new set of teams, and we tried to pick up a lot of home and homes. So a lot of the teams we played on the road last year, now we're getting the home game this year. So I think that some of that is just random. I think that'll kind of balance itself out over time. But yeah, we're definitely happy to be here. We usually play pretty well at home, so hopefully we'll do a good job.
And then a fan question from David Saw on Twitter.
Oh, I love David Saw.
With last year's success, was it harder to put together a schedule this year? Or did your record last year and the fact that you guys were WNIT qualified open up more doors?
I think that the biggest change for us was just that last year in our first year, we had to count as a non-Division I team. This is going to get a little too technical, but David he's like hardcore women's basketball, so he can handle it. And then this year we count not only towards the RPI, but also as a Division I counter in the total number of games scheduled. So I think a lot more teams are open to playing us. I would hope that we get to a point where we're good enough that some people don't want to play us because we're too good, but we have not got there yet. The majority of our thought process with scheduling is we travel a lot in the WAC, so we want to play as many games close by as we can. It's been a pretty good opportunity for us to partner up with a lot of Big West schools. We're playing Riverside, Santa Barbara, Northridge, Fullerton. I think, did I say Santa Barbara? I think we might be missing somebody in there. But, we have quite a few of those that we're playing there. We're playing here. It gives us a chance to get a road game against a quality team. That we don't have to drive so far. So we've been trying to do a lot of those.
All right. And interesting in the WAC this year is the fact that they're going to the Wednesday-Saturday scheduling model. Your thoughts on that?
Well, we have to be on board with that because that was kind of our idea. And they're doing that mostly for us because there's an odd number of teams in our league. And so we were what they call the lone wolf, which meant every week we were playing 2 games, and the teams we were playing were only playing 1. And so we were at a pretty good disadvantage most of last season, throughout the conference. This year we're going to play them on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Gives us an extra day to prepare. For instance, in the past, like we played New Mexico State on a Thursday. So we flew out on Wednesday, played them on Thursday. Friday we had to fly to UTRGV, which is a difficult place to go in between. Going from New Mexico to RGV is a tough travel. So we'd travel on Friday and then we played them Saturday, whereas UTRGV just spent all week practicing for the one game against CBU. We felt that was a little bit of a disadvantage, so we think with getting an extra day in between, it'll help some on the travel, but also help on some of the preparation for the games, and hopefully it'll help us win more games.
All right. Then the opportunity to go to Vancouver, how big is that? Yeah. Because I was looking at the field for that tournament from last year. Drake had a really good year. Yeah. One of the notable teams there.
There's going to be some pretty heavy hitters there. I think, that's one of the things we wanted to do is just really, really challenge our team. I think we have we should have a good team. We have a lot of returners. We were pretty successful last year, and I think one of the things that we're really emphasizing is just challenging ourselves in the non-conference, and not being afraid to go play teams that might kick our butt, because I think we can get better from that. I think that in that tournament, it's going to be, I don't know if they've announced the field yet, but I think it's Mississippi State, Syracuse, Wisconsin, Green Bay, and Stanford. I think we're the four biggest teams.
Okay.
So you're talking two of those will be in the top 10 probably preseason. All four of those will be in the top 25. Then there's us, San Francisco, I think Southern. I'm drawing a blank on the last team. But
Okay.
it was four teams that were all. I mean, nobody was bad.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be pretty good for us to really see what we're made of early on, and then hopefully we can learn from that, improve from it, and keep getting better.
From a recruiting perspective, is that a big tool for you guys to say, hey, we've gotten to take the floor against a Stanford, somebody of those, Mississippi State?
I mean, I think what we want people to understand is we're not afraid to play people, and that we are going to do everything we can to make our team the best that we can be, and we want to get an opportunity to measure ourselves against the best. I mean, we're a ways away, I think, from being able to compete with those teams on a nightly basis, but the first step would be just getting on the floor and seeing where you are. And from there, we're going to give them everything we have, and see how we do, and we'll know what adjustments we need to make going forward.
All right. And now that you guys have had a year in the WAC, do the road trips get easier as you get used to them, or do you guys feel like you're a couple years away from knowing every city and what's in every city that you guys will visit?
I think we're going to do it a lot better this year. I think last year everything was just so new, and I think that the WAC is a tough league for travel, but I think that we're definitely going to be more prepared for that this year and hopefully do a lot better.
All right. This year was a rules change year for the Playing Oversight Committee.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on the shot clock reset rule change and the three-point line getting moved back to the international distance?
I mean, anything to make the game faster, I'm all for. I would prefer a 24-second shot clock to the 30. I think the shorter shot clock on the reset is great. Should increase possessions. The three-point line, I don't think our team will even notice it. I think we finished in the top 10 and made three-pointers per game last year. So I'm expecting that to continue. If anything, it'll give us more of an advantage because it'll put more of a premium on actually being good at shooting. So, yeah, I'm all for that stuff when it happens.
All right. Kind of talk about the first year in Division I, because you guys had a little bit of everything last year. You had that 9-game winning streak in the WAC, and then a 5-game non-conference losing streak and a 5-game non-conference winning streak.
I mean, obviously, we were pretty streaky. I think there was some real learning curves that we had to kind of go through. I think there was a lot of unknown. We had 10 new players on the team last year, 10 out of 15. So, it's 66% of the team pretty much is new. And then the returners had never played a Division I game in their lives. It had been about 15 years since I coached in a Division I game. So I think there was a lot of stuff that was just new. And I think it took us, a little while to find our footing and kind of get our confidence that we could. I mean, we thought we could play, but and we did play. We weren't getting blown out, but to have the confidence to know that you can win the game instead of just be competitive in the game, I think while it seems like a small thing, it's actually a very large thing. It's probably the hardest step you can kind of make, and I think it took us some time to get there. But we finished the year really strong, and I feel like we should have confidence this year going into the season that hey, we can not only can we hang, but we can win those games.
All right. New year, it's probably the same expectations. Go in, compete in the WAC, see if we can't compete for a WAC title with New Mexico State. Talk about some of the newcomers that fans should look out for when the bell rings.
Yeah. I mean, we've got 5 freshmen that we signed. We got a lot of returners, so I think it'll be interesting to see how they kind of all mix together and see which of those freshmen is most ready to play. Grace Champion from Australia, I'm expecting to be a really good player. We've got Raka from Iceland. Lauren With from Wisconsin. We've been recruiting Wisconsin Lakers pretty hard. Caitlin Harper was a high school teammate of hers, and Caitlin had a great freshman year for us. Taylor Wu, a state champion from Hawaii, is a pretty explosive guard. And Tiana Neal from Toronto is a really good shooter. So, we got a lot of people from all over the place. We worked really hard to kind of just go all over to find the best players we could get. And I think they kind of give us a chance to improve our team next year, and we're looking forward to seeing what they can do on the court.
How hard is it to recruit internationally, or is it not really that hard?
I think recruiting in general is pretty hard. I think there's some challenges internationally that you kind of have to be willing to overcome. There's some risks you have to take. It's easier to see a kid play at at King High School, which we recruit, but it's easier to go watch them play for me on a Friday night than it is to go watch a kid play in Spain, but we're going to do whatever we can to get the best players. We don't really care where they're from. We just want to give CBU the best chance to be the best team it can be, and we're going to do whatever it takes to make that happen.
All right, Jarrod, thank you very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your off season before the bell gets rung in September, October.
Thanks for coming. We'll be ready for them.
All right.
Inland Sports.